Don't let anyone disenfranchise you because you're a young man, especially a young white male man. Don't ever let anyone talk down to you. We need strong men out there, strong men who are convicted, that will be good leaders, good husbands, good fathers like mine. We need that. And young women, we need you to also rise up. Don't compromise yourself. Don't look at other women and compare yourself. God has created you for a purpose and a reason far greater than you and I will ever know on this side of heaven. But just know that as long as you're a part of Turning Point USA, you have us by your side.
Some people just don't know when to step away. And if you listen to many of Erika Kirk's critics, they believe she fits that description perfectly. After losing her husband at 37 and raising 2 children on her own, many would expect a wave of public sympathy. But the reaction has been far more divided than that. A lot of people, including some who once followed her late husband's work, have questioned her public appearances and motives. To them, nearly every move she makes seems carefully calculated, and that perception has sparked plenty of debate online.
Your questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer any thoughts that you have.
Who is more conservative and why?
Erika.
Yes.
By far. Not even close. I am a moderate compared to Erika.
Rather than backing off as criticism has grown, Erika has stayed front and center, showing up at events, speaking on major stages, and continuing to build her public profile. Supporters see it as determination, while critics view it as an attempt to take over the spotlight and become the new face of the movement her husband helped build. Either way, she keeps making headlines, and the conversation around her doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. And even though things were already off to a rocky start, the situation has only become more intense with each passing week. The scrutiny surrounding Erika's every move has grown nonstop.
Just 2 days after her husband was killed, Erika appeared to make a statement on his channel.
Good evening. My name is Erika Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. When I got home last night, Gigi, our daughter, just ran into my arms. And I talked to her and she said, "Mommy, I missed you." I said, "I miss you too, baby." She goes, "Where's Daddy?" "What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, "Baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus, so he can afford your blueberry budget."
And many viewers have noticed that her recent media appearances have sparked even more discussion. Critics have pointed to her interviews, speeches, and public reactions as signs that the pressure may be taking a serious toll on her, leading to a flood of speculation across social media and beyond. But instead of receiving the understanding and patience she seems to believe she deserves, nearly everything the former Miss Arizona...
The podcaster Candace Owens, at one time a friend of Charlie's, at one time an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers.
Now ends up creating even more questions. People continue to debate what she knows, what her intentions are, and where her loyalties truly stand. That growing mystery has become a major part of the story. To understand how things reached this point, it helps to go back to the beginning. The new chapter of Turning Point USA began almost immediately after Charlie Kirk's assassination in Provo, Utah.
There you go.
Oh, look at all the thumbs up. Look how cute that is. Sorry, this is a little bit more informal than probably Charlie would be reacting. How sweet. I didn't know they could do that. I hate Zoom. I never liked Zoom. Sorry, you guys. I just wanted to say first and foremost, my heart obviously is broken for you guys as much as it is for our family. You guys lost not only a boss, but someone that you looked up to, someone that you believed in his mission, that you also that you loved. You loved listening to his show, hearing his wisdom on things. I'm sure some of you have also had very personal moments of where you sat down and
had private conversations with him. I want you all to hold on to those.
Just 2 days after her husband was killed, Erika appeared to release a statement on his channel. Then, just 11 days after the shooting, a New York Times article added another twist to the story. According to the report, Erika was sitting in her mother's hospital room in Phoenix when she received a call from Michael McCoy.
It's evil. Charlie and I have always been very clear on our stance. Israel, Jewish people, it's awful. Anti-Semitism is what healing factor comes out of hating Jewish people? What healing factor comes out of hating Christians? What healing factor comes out? Hate in general? Nothing. Charlie always would say very clearly, Jew hate was brain rot. He would always say it. We've been to Israel twice together, and to be able to walk in the place where our Lord walked and see the Bible come to life in Technicolor. How could you hate that place? How could you hate the Jewish people?
Her husband's longtime assistant. Reflecting on that moment later, Erika claimed she sensed what he was about to tell her before he even said the words. That detail immediately caught people's attention and became another talking point in the growing public discussion surrounding the situation. At the time, many of Kirk's supporters were still standing firmly behind her as they mourned alongside an audience that had followed his every move for years. In fact, reports suggesting that Charlie believed Erika held even stronger hardline views than he did were seen by some supporters as a reassuring sign. Rather than raising concerns, those claims initially strengthened confidence among many of his followers. Just 8 days after Charlie's passing, it was announced that Erika would take over as director of Turning Point USA, following a unanimous vote. From that moment on, however, the organization and its new leader found themselves facing a constant wave of public scrutiny and controversy.
A friend of mine, let's call her Erika. She's had a wild life, this woman. She was in Romania, she had an orphanage, she was on a reality show, she married this famous guy, she was an intelligence asset. And I said to her, how do you do this? And she says, Tim, it's Neuro's energy and focus mints. And I says, but how do you do it after the guy, the husband and father of the kids gets murdered and you're out there doing all kinds of stuff? You're doing fundraisers and you're dancing around with glitter pants. How does this happen? She goes, I could lie to you, but I'm telling you, it's Neuro's energy and focus mints. I said, really? She goes, sure. I said, how are you running this organization 7 hours after this guy got popped?
Whether it was viral moments at public events, comments about forgiveness in the aftermath of the tragedy, or debates over how Charlie's views and legacy should be interpreted, Erika quickly became a lightning rod for criticism. Supporters argued that she was doing her best to carry forward a difficult mission during an incredibly challenging time. Critics, on the other hand, felt that several of her decisions and public statements only created more confusion and frustration. What started as strong support from many corners gradually shifted into a much more divided and heated conversation. As the months passed, nearly every interview, speech, or public appearance seemed to spark a fresh round of debate online. Each new statement was picked apart by supporters and detractors alike, making it harder for her to escape the spotlight.
And I was eating cereal. It was like 10 o'clock at night. That's a mom dinner cereal at 10 p.m. And I was like basically standing there in the dark. And I looked over to the side of the wall, and when we first moved into that, we live in a small condo. When we first moved in there, Charlie and I put the Bible verse of James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4 alongside of it. And I stood there and I looked at it, and I was like, milk and cereal in my mouth, and I was like, count it all joy. And I just stood there. Count it all joy. Being persecuted and lied about, count it all joy. You're being slandered? Count it all joy. You're being lied about? Count it all joy. Your church is being persecuted? Count it all joy. If there's graffiti all over it now? Count it all joy. You have people coming in and out of your congregation? Count it all joy.
The controversy eventually expanded beyond political opponents and reached people who had once been considered allies. After Candace Owens publicly criticized Erika's handling of information surrounding the murder investigation, tensions between the two became increasingly visible. Before long, Erika was responding to her late husband's former friend during interviews, adding another dramatic chapter to an already growing public feud. And as if every move was adding another layer to the controversy, Erika also spent considerable time speaking in support of Israel while continuing to publicly address the person convicted of killing her husband. Those actions only fueled more debate and speculation among critics and supporters alike.
That we've presented to congressional officials. 1 being cyber, 2 being hackers, 3 being physical threats, 4th one is solar EMP, and the 5th one is man-made. And when we go over this risk analysis, they hear what we're saying, but they don't want to take action. Take action.
Well, there are 18 critical infrastructures. It's weird, but very weird.
She's doing a CIA informational video.
Weird.
Like an acting gig, or is this something else?
Perhaps. Or, but even so, you're doing an acting gig for the CIA. Who calls you for that?
Yeah.
You ever get one of those calls?
No.
No, I never got one of those calls.
And my agent never hit me with that one.
Yeah. It's odd. Well, there's a lot of people that think that she was his handler. She was Charlie Kirk's handler. But of course, there's a lot of people that think I have handlers.
Yeah. Well, you got about 9 Navy SEALs out there.
They're not they're my friends.
With every new statement, skepticism surrounding Erika seemed to grow even stronger. Many critics questioned her messaging and openly wondered why others continued to support her public efforts. As the debate intensified, her every appearance became the subject of intense scrutiny and endless discussion online. To her detractors, the situation no longer looked like a carefully managed public response, but rather a series of moves that appeared increasingly difficult to explain. With each new development, they felt their doubts were being reinforced, arguing that the image she presented to the public did not fully match what they were seeing. One moment that drew particular attention was her appearance on a Turning Point USA Zoom call just 5 days after her husband's death.
Seems to fall increasingly flat, with each resurfaced morsel from the old days.
He is the executive director of the Task Force on National and Homeland Security and director of the U.S. Nuclear Strategy Forum, both congressional advisory boards. I touch a little bit of topics on the grid vulnerability that we have here in our country, and just basically tell the audience what exactly EMP is and what are the threats that we need to be aware of as Americans, and what our major security issue here in America is right now.
Well, an electromagnetic pulse can be generated by a nuclear weapon detonated at high altitude. And we have seen Iran write in its military doctrine. This is basically why they want the bomb. We've also seen them practice launching missiles from short-range missiles from ships to simulate an EMP attack.
Some observers pointed to what they viewed as a surprisingly composed demeanor, which quickly became another topic of controversy and speculation. After that footage surfaced, criticism of Erika appeared to intensify even further. Many online commentators began dissecting her public image, with some arguing that her persona felt overly polished and carefully managed. As a result, debates about her authenticity continued to grow across social media and political circles alike. Critics quickly seized on the footage, pointing out that Erika frequently looked down at her notes while speaking. To them, that raised questions about how natural and spontaneous the moment really was. Some argued that the presentation felt overly rehearsed.
Turns out Erika Kirk's mother has been a CIA spy, or a spy, for a long time. Now, she had like 50 different LLC companies that she creates and closes and all. And so Wolves in Finance have done a great job with that. And now Project Constitution says, Lori Friends appears in Edward Snowden's leaked PRISM docs as NSA agent. For those of us tracking the new TPUSA narrative, this isn't just a coinkydink. It's a confirmation of the intelligent asset theory. The coincidence officially dies. They are running a script. If Lori is a confirmed intelligence asset, her daughter's entire life story suddenly looks like a meticulously managed operation, which it was.
While others claimed it came across more like a carefully crafted public relations effort than a personal reflection. If the goal was to connect with people on an emotional level, many observers believe the reaction did not unfold as intended. Instead of receiving broad support and protection from conservative audiences, Erika found herself facing criticism from voices within those same circles. In fact, several conservative commentators became some of her most vocal critics, turning her public appearances into a frequent subject of mockery and debate. Elsewhere, major podcasts and online commentators, including discussions connected to platforms like the Joe Rogan Experience, have spent time examining Erika's background in greater detail. Some of those conversations have focused on claims and allegations about possible connections to intelligence circles that critics argue may have existed before she ever met Charlie, though those claims remain heavily debated.
Get on your feet, boy!
War is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers.
And even if those allegations are not accurate, and her past involvement was simply the result of pursuing different career opportunities, critics argue that the claim she had little connection to politics before meeting Charlie becomes harder to accept as older details continue to resurface. With each archived interview, public appearance, or previously overlooked piece of information that gains attention online, the debate over her background only seems to grow louder and more intense. Adding to the speculation, critics have also pointed to her mother's documented professional connections to network security and related industries. While those connections do not prove any of the broader claims being made, they have provided another talking point for online theorists who frequently cite them when building arguments about Erika's background and personal network. When commentators and entertainers weren't already criticizing Erika, she also found herself becoming the subject of online comedy and satire.
A thing called Happy Easter. Do we have that? Everyone happy? Anybody that doesn't want, hello, darling. Wow, this is a good table. I like that table. You're doing well, right? Okay. I think you should sue him, but you know, I told her, you ought to sue somebody. They're so jealous of Erika. I said, you ought to sue their, I can say it, you're not allowed to say this, you have to be nicer. Sue their ass off.
One notable example came from comedian Drewski, who created a widely viewed parody that many viewers interpreted as a jab at her public image. Using exaggerated makeup and an over-the-top performance style, the sketch mocked what critics describe as the highly managed and carefully crafted nature of her public persona, generating major attention across social media platforms. While many people outside conservative political circles treated the situation as a source of humor and online entertainment, Erika received support from some prominent political figures. According to reports and public discussions at the time, she was encouraged by the president to consider pursuing legal action in response to certain portrayals and criticisms that she believed crossed the line. As similar sentiments were expressed by figures such as Ted Cruz, not everyone on the political right agreed with that approach.
Please welcome Turning Point USA CEO and Chair, Erika Kirk.
Other conservative commentators, including voices like Baron Coleman, argued that Erika should remain open to public scrutiny despite the hardships she has faced. Their position was that personal tragedy does not automatically place a public figure beyond criticism, especially when questions continue to be raised about certain statements, decisions, and public appearances that critics believe deserve closer examination. Even as criticism continued to mount, and several of her public appearances generated backlash, Erika showed no signs of stepping away from the spotlight. Rather than acknowledging her critics' concerns or changing course, she remained highly visible and continued pushing forward with her public role. To supporters, that reflected determination and resilience. To critics,
nowhere in the Bible, nowhere in any religious tradition does it say, if you're a widow, you get a free pass to lie to anyone you want, to gaslight everybody you meet, for everything you've ever done in your entire life that is dog doo-doo. You just get overlooked. No one's allowed to bring it up. No one's allowed to talk about it. For the rest of your life, everyone has to fawn all over you and support you because, my God, you're a widow. It doesn't exist. I've looked at scripture. It's not in there. Erika, Graham, Gary, not in here. Andrew doesn't say it. There's no requirement. I support her as the head of TPUSA. There's no prohibition on me criticizing her for documented falsehoods. None.
It suggested an unwillingness to recognize how negatively some of her actions and statements were being received. Instead, she kept attending events and taking the stage at major gatherings, maintaining a prominent presence in the movement and public conversation. Of course, all of this only intensified the ongoing controversy and kept the spotlight firmly on Erika. As she continued making public appearances, some of her most outspoken critics, including Candace Owens, remained highly focused on her actions and statements. Rather than letting the issue fade from public view, they continued raising questions and challenging her narrative in interviews, podcasts, and online discussions. But just as Erika's public story became closely tied to a shocking act of violence, many observers believe another dramatic incident marked the beginning of a new chapter in the controversy surrounding her.
Evil. She is evil. When I watched that, I went, she's evil. I am so infuriated watching that back because she's lying. She's objectively lying and she's acting. She was told to say that to make people believe that she had access to something that we didn't.
Do you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many people to believe that reality?
Because it's too simple. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together. I've been in constant contact with our lawyers, the prosecuting team. I've seen it all.
Right? It was because of that clip that when I went in to meet with her, I was going, oh, okay, maybe she has something that the public doesn't. I spoke to her, I've been in touch with the lawyers. I've seen the autopsy report. And then I sit down with her 72 hours later and she tells me, and her lawyer confirms to me, that they have nothing more than what the public has seen.
What happened next quickly became a major topic of discussion across political media and social platforms. Recently, Erika attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Depending on who was telling the story, the evening was either a public relations setback or simply another event that became surrounded by speculation. Amid widespread discussion about security concerns and other headlines connected to the gathering, one of the biggest talking points was footage and reports claiming that Erika was seen leaving the event in tears. In most situations, seeing someone visibly emotional would likely generate sympathy and concern. But because opinions about Erika have become so polarized, the reaction online was far more mixed. While some people expressed support, others responded with jokes, memes, and criticism. Reports and commentary from various sources have even suggested that the incident may have left her deeply shaken, leading to speculation that she could eventually step back from public life after months of relentless scrutiny and controversy. Soon afterward, Erika released a statement that led many people to wonder whether she was preparing to step away from public life. She said, "Saturday was yet another traumatic example of the evil in our country and the continued rise in political violence. I'm taking time to spend with my family. I will be joining the Charlie Kirk Show Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern."
First and foremost, I woke up this morning and I was highly upset. I had a little bit of a yesterday news hangover. I realized that I'm actually so not okay with what Erika Kirk did. She essentially put a target on my back by wrongly asserting that I accused her of murdering her husband. I don't think we can let that fly, right? No, her punishment is going to be more truth. I always say she is sentenced to more truth, and I have been keeping a little secret, and it's time for me to reveal it. Also, I am getting the sense that there is something happening, something big happening. It feels like people are upping the crazy a little bit. Something is coming undone in the background. And on that note, the big news of the day is guess who crawled from under his rock, apparently, and sent me a full-blown lawsuit. Yes, Brian Harpole. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that would grant me, your girl, the power of subpoena. Let's get started. Welcome back to Candace.
To briefly address what took place, enough is enough. The message immediately sparked speculation online. Some readers interpreted it as a sign that she was seriously considering pulling back from public appearances after months of controversy, criticism, and intense public attention. However, that assumption did not last long. Just a few days later, Erika was back in front of the cameras and once again participating in the public conversation. Rather than keeping a low profile, she used her appearance to push back against claims and theories she believed were unfair or misleading.
I mean, how much more
listen,
can this poor woman take?
she is absolutely committed to, and I don't want to put words in Erika's mouth. I think she's probably going to kind of clarify what this event has meant to her, at some point this week, and kind of where her head's at. So I don't want to speak for her, but, actually, she's completely committed and devoted to, fulfilling Charlie's legacy and mission, and none of that has changed. Obviously, this was, this was a triggering experience in more ways than one, and it wasn't just her as well. There was Mikey was at the event, and Mikey was just a few feet away from Charlie at UVU.
Among the people she addressed most directly was Candace Owens, whose criticism of Erika had become one of the most talked about feuds within conservative media circles. From there, Erika attempted to explain why she had attended the event in the first place. According to her account, the decision was driven by a desire to confront ongoing disputes and address issues that had been building for some time. Her comments immediately drew attention, as many viewers interpreted them as an effort to respond directly to critics and settle lingering conflicts in the public arena.
I call BS on her reason for going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Girl, just be real. Just be real with everyone. I went because I was invited and I wanted to go. You didn't go to I'm going to hold reporters accountable. You just wanted to go. You wanted to go and you did, and that's fine. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's that kind of stuff that makes people think her behavior is more performative than anything. Just be real. People want authenticity. You wanted to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You were invited as a guest of Fox News. That's fine. Because people were making fun of her sparkly outfits following Charlie Kirk's assassination. Just be you. And more importantly, videos like this don't help. They just don't.
Predictably, the explanation did little to quiet the criticism. In fact, some observers argued that it only added to the growing concerns surrounding her public image. What made the reaction stand out was that even a number of people who had previously remained neutral were beginning to question whether her current approach was helping or hurting her standing with the public. One critic wrote, If Erika Kirk truly is just a grieving widow and not actually a bad person, which is now becoming harder and harder to believe, then somebody around her who cares need to tell her the following.
In this culture we're living in absorbs disagreement as a form of personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And here's what I've realized through all of this, having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all. Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on. There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country.
Her disposition is totally unlikable. Her delivery is completely untrustworthy. Another added, every time she opens her mouth, she digs herself into a bigger hole. I would rather not tell a widow how to grieve, but I would advise a wannabe astroturfed CEO to go home and spend more time with her kids she claims to love. Comments like these spread rapidly online and became part of the broader backlash surrounding her public appearances. Meanwhile, her critics argued that she appeared more focused on ongoing disputes and personal feuds than on the larger tragedy that had originally placed her in the spotlight.
You can have a career after children, but if you try to have a career while you have your kids, there is no such thing as balance. That is such a myth. Gigi gets those little Montessori toys every month, and there's this one that has the buckets that balance. If I put something in one of those buckets, it's gonna drop down. And if I try to balance them, both buckets are filled, which is not realistic. I can't spend half of the day doing one thing. I missed out half of that time with being with the kids. So like, you have to choose where your heart has to be fully with the home.
Whether fair or not, those perceptions gave opponents another opportunity to criticize her actions, and the controversy only grew louder as a result. Some of Erika's harshest critics argued that her response to public criticism appeared more emotional than her reaction to the attacks directed at her following her husband's death. They pointed to her focus on media disputes and online commentary as evidence that her priorities seemed misplaced, a claim that fueled even more debate across social media and political circles, as many expected.
Everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me, and I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me? So, for example, a journalist from the Daily Mail came up to me, she introduced herself, and she was very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful, I'm so sorry for your loss," to which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face."
One of the first major figures to respond to Erika's remarks was Candace Owens. After Erika suggested that Candace had promoted the idea that she was somehow connected to Charlie's death, a claim Owens strongly rejected, the commentator responded at length. Owens devoted more than 20 minutes to criticizing Erika's statements and challenging what she described as misrepresentations of her position, escalating an already bitter public feud. One of Candace Owens' main criticisms was what she viewed as Erika's attempt to shift the focus of the controversy and cast her as the primary villain in the situation. Owens strongly pushed back on that characterization, arguing that her comments and coverage had been misrepresented. As a result, the dispute became less about the original issues and more about competing narratives over who was being treated unfairly in the public debate. Above all, Owens made it clear that she was not backing away from the concerns she had raised about Erika's public image and messaging. She argued that there was a gap between the way Erika presented herself to audiences and what critics believed might be happening behind the scenes. Whether people agreed or disagreed, Owens maintained that those questions were legitimate topics for public discussion and scrutiny.
I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on.
And I get on camera and I show everybody how batshit crazy I am. And the evidence goes on and on and on and on. And I will not stop, because just Monday, I said I was taking time off to be with my family. And now it's Thursday, and I am hosting a podcast clip, because in Turning Point, you can both take time off from work and work at the exact same time. And this hypocrisy can go on and on and on and on.
Candace also repeated an argument that commentators such as Baron Coleman had raised previously on their programs. Their position was that because Erika is a public figure with connections to influential political and media circles, her statements and actions should remain open to scrutiny. They argued that perceived inconsistencies in her public messaging warranted continued questioning and accountability, regardless of the personal hardships she has experienced. For them, public sympathy did not eliminate the need for a public examination and debate.
Yes, I am grieving. Yes, alongside our great team running Turning Point USA. Yes, I'm raising my babies. And you don't separate those into different boxes. They can all coexist. And so, yeah, I take my babies to the office. I want my kids to see what their father built. I want them to be a part of it. Maybe it's supposed to be something that inspires them and encourages them to think, okay, we live in the greatest country where you can be so many different things. You can be a mother. You can be an author. You can be a nurse. You can be a teacher. In one full lifetime. You don't have to just be one thing. And honestly, being a mother is one of the greatest honors and privileges and job titles you could ever have.
After facing yet another wave of criticism online, the backlash had become so widespread that even commentators from outlets often seen as politically opposed to her, including voices associated with the Young Turks, weighed in on the situation. Rather than simply criticizing her, some offered advice on how she could improve her public messaging and avoid releasing videos or statements that quickly become targets of ridicule, controversy, or negative reactions shortly after they are posted. Not everyone has taken a constructive approach when discussing Erika's public struggles, however. While some commentators have offered suggestions on how she could improve her messaging and public appearances, others have focused almost entirely on criticism.
Owens didn't hold back and dragged her for over 20 minutes.
In one sentence, she said, I after today's traumatizing shooting, I need to spend time with my family, and then I will be on the Charlie Kirk show on Wednesday. So I think she just needed 48 hours. We get to that. The response has just been brutal, okay? Everyone is calling her out. They're saying that the look is wrong. People are making fun of saying that she looks like she came dressed up as the assassin that was walking up the stairs, allegedly, but also just her general demeanor. Okay, here are just some of the reactions. We can go through them. I guess I missed it. When did Candace Owens mention anywhere in the podcast that you murdered your husband? You didn't miss it. I trust gas station sushi more than I trust Erika Kirk. This user writes, I was hoping you were going to address all the questions being asked of you. This lecture was pointless. We're just getting lectured every day. We're so tired of being lectured. This person writes, Candace Owens never once made the explicit claim that you murdered your husband.
Rather than discussing ways she could regain credibility, many have turned their attention to her past, revisiting her time with Charlie and comparing older statements and accounts with her current rhetoric. In doing so, critics claim they have identified inconsistencies that they believe raise further questions about her public narrative. While many people acknowledge that Erika's life changed dramatically after losing her husband and becoming the sole parent of her children, critics argue that those circumstances do not fully explain some of the shifts they believe they have seen in her public positions and messaging. Major life events can absolutely influence a person's outlook and priorities. Even so, some observers have pointed out what they view as significant differences between the values.
How disingenuous can you be, Andrew? You have to get tired of it at some point. You just got to get tired of it. Again, I will assert publicly, you have my full permission. Go Max, release the entire chain. I have nothing to hide. When I said and I asserted several times, there is not a single thing that he can point to that I said on this show that was leaked to me by Aubrey Leitch. From December 15th, okay? Post getting fired, obviously she spoke out and I've had many conversations with her, but nothing was leaked to me about that I presented on this show about anything that was going on internal. So pretending that this joke that went around of I'm the first thing I'm gonna ask her is why did you murder your husband? Like, why are you gay? Is a little over the top. Release it all. Let the public judge. I have nothing to hide.
Causes and viewpoints she previously emphasized and the position she has highlighted since Charlie's death, making the change a frequent topic of debate. And for some of her most outspoken critics, the changes they believe they've seen in Erika's public behavior have led them to form even harsher conclusions about her motivations. These critics argue that the person now in the spotlight is closer to who she always was, while supporters strongly reject that characterization. The debate has become increasingly heated, with both sides digging in and defending their views. One critic expressed that perspective in particularly strong terms, saying, "I felt sorry for him. I felt like he was being love-bombed, manipulated, and gaslighted so much by Erika and others that he probably thought he found his soulmate. But I believe he was seeing the truth."
But I thought that I was gonna get straight answers, and then she lied to my face. And from that point on, when I clocked her on those lies and when the public kept repeatedly clocking her on lies and seeing your reaction to it like it is right now, I grew increasingly suspicious of Erika. I remain suspicious of Erika. I think that is any person who is being honest. Why don't you respond to what I'm actually saying? I am saying that donors are telling us that that was an AI video or an AI audio that you presented of Charlie Kirk. Wouldn't that be a great time to clear that up? If you're gonna sit there and you're gonna point the finger at Candace Owens, I would have said, and it is egregious that Candace Owens is implying that we would make this up, that Charlie didn't want me to take over. And then you slam dunk, show the video of Charlie Kirk saying in Aspen that he wanted you to be the CEO. I have made a lot of claims about you lying, and I stand by the claims that I have made on this show.
And sadly, it cost him his life. Relationships with narcissists are complicated. She said, "I missed half the day being with the kids," instead of saying she missed spending time with the kids because she had to work all day. Her heart was to never be a mom. She likes being that boss bitch. Charlie stole her shine. She got left at home with the kids, and when he was around, he put the kids first. This made her very envious. She wanted the stage back. A pageant girl needs to perform. She needed the spotlight for validation. Those remarks reflect the views of critics and remain matters of opinion rather than established fact. Meanwhile, as if the ongoing feud wasn't already intense enough, tensions between figures connected to Turning Point and Candace Owens appear poised to become even more contentious, with new legal disputes now adding another dramatic layer to the conflict. And given how aggressively this dispute has unfolded so far, many observers expect that any new information uncovered through ongoing legal proceedings could quickly become public discussion.
No, I'm not accusing you of shooting your husband. What I am assuming that I have been open about on the show is that it reeks of dishonesty. And that people told you this. There's something about your general nature that comes across as very dishonest. You don't seem to be interested in the very many holes. I wouldn't be able to stomach sitting or standing next to Kash Patel, and yet you do. You're sitting here at a White House Correspondents' Dinner. Why don't you ask him to give the defense what they need if you want a speedy trial, victim? You lying about the surgeon and beginning the entire story about a Superman neck, but actually you were on the phone, but you lied to my face and you're pretending that I have to take that because you're a widow? That doesn't work for us.
Critics and supporters alike are closely watching to see what develops next, knowing that each new revelation has the potential to spark another round of headlines and controversy. Meanwhile, Erika continues to face intense scrutiny from all directions. According to her detractors, both her personal reputation and public standing have suffered significantly, leaving her in a very different position from when she was primarily known as Charlie's wife. The level of criticism has become so widespread that even casual observers have started weighing in on the debate. To many critics, the pressure now appears to be taking a visible toll. Some argue that stepping back from public life, at least temporarily, could help ease tensions and allow attention to shift away from the constant cycle of controversy. Whether she chooses that path or remains in the spotlight, one thing is clear. The debate surrounding Erika shows no signs of fading anytime soon, and the next chapter could prove just as contentious as everything that came before.